My name is Gabriele Bortkuta Majid. I'm 46-year-old. I'm Lithuanian, and that's why I'm here, standing in front of Russian embassy. Because 31 years ago, Russian tanks were shooting to our peaceful citizens in front of our parliament, trying to do the same what they are doing now in Ukraine. That's why I'm here. I'm standing for Ukraine, and I will be, in all kinds of ways as long as possible. I'm an expat. I'm living all around the world together with my husband over the last 12 years. Currently, I live in Frankfurt, but so I could come by foot to the consulate. It's really hard to describe. From the very first day, it's horror, it's fear, it's all the insomnia that we have, all the stress. But at the same time, I understand if I will be overwhelmed with all those feelings, I cannot be useful, I cannot be helpful to our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. And I have to be at my best shape in order to help them. So that's what I'm trying to do. But there's full range of various emotions which I personally have to fight and manage in myself in order to be as much useful as I can. It was hard, it was very hard to stop feeling hatred towards Putin and his regime. There was a moment, there was a period, and I'm happy that I actually belong to, I'm Catholic, I belong to Catholic charismatic community. My brothers, sisters, they are in Lithuania. We have Zoom meetings, and I'm happy that we could talk about it. We could discuss about what feelings we have. We could pray about it, and we could let it go, because hatred doesn't bring us anywhere. We just have to stand in unity, to stand in love and peace, and help as much as we can. Hatred wouldn't help. The Bible says that there is an enemy which can be defeated only with prayer and fasting. So we do as much as we can do physically, but it's not only me, it's my Catholic community, and it's Catholics all around the world. We are now in the period of Lent, which is 40 days before Easter, and we fast a lot. Usually it's Wednesdays and Fridays, but this year's Lent is special. We are fasting for Ukraine. So yes, today I came to Russian Consulate without any food in my stomach, because today we are fasting. It's maybe a slice or two of bread and maybe tea, coffee, water, but that's with that's the weapon which we are told by God. It's written in the Bible. With fasting and prayer, we are standing as well in the spiritual war, because it's not physical only. It's hybrid war, and it's the spiritual war too. Putin's regime in Russia, the regime of KGB, was growing in its power over decades. It had to be done long ago. I'm really happy seeing how the world is uniting, how everyone is standing for Ukraine, and it's sad as well. At the same time, I'm happy and sad it has to be done earlier. Now we have to be standing right here, right now, and see what we can do better. There's so many things. I understand there have to be diplomatic ways of dealing with situation like this. But then I'm torn. I'm literally torn, because I know NATO should step up, but I understand why NATO is not closing the sky of Ukraine, because they don't want to step up in an open war of Putin's regime. The thing is, me as Lithuanian, seeing the Russian aggression over many years, my grandfather was taken to Siberia by Stalin's regime. This is nothing new. This is here. I don't see any other option if we don't want to sacrifice the innocent Ukrainian nation to that regime, NATO should close the sky above Ukraine. That would be the step. And Poland should not be throwing their MiG planes to Ramstein or somewhere, should give to Ukrainians so they could defend themselves. It's a shame of how Europe is weak, how countries are not brave enough to step up to such a regime, to such a dictator. It's dangerous. There's over 140 million people in Russia. That's how big the population is. They're completely brainwashed. There's more brainwashed people in that country than people who know the real truth, and those who know, they are too afraid to stand up. To stand up and say their opinion. They're being put in jail and everything, and Europe has to be stepping up stronger and fighting. Unfortunately, it's what's next? Lithuania is a tiny corridor for Russia on the way to the Kaliningrad, to a tiny part of Russia. What's next? Will it be Lithuania next? They say it takes about 3 weeks when you have a really big stress, traumatic stress. For me, it is traumatic. I was 15-year-old when Russian tanks were shooting at people and I saw that. I know that my family is affected. There's a lot of families back in Lithuania affected. When you are in the same traumatic experience again, it takes about 3 weeks to get used to it and to be able to function normally, to think normally. So I pray for conversion of Russia, for conversion of the mind of Russians, for conversion of their heart, for the change of heart. So they would not be afraid, they would not be in fear of that regime, because that's the only way to stand up against the dictator, against the KGB who is ruling that country, against the system. It's very difficult, it's very hard. When I think logically, it seems impossible. But when I think as a Catholic, it is possible. Nothing is impossible to God.